Hello, fellow hunters. Day 3 at Gamescom has come and gone. And over the course of the last few days where they've been going through the demo, I mean, it's just been an awesome production from the Monster Hunter team, from the Capcom staff that have been at Gamescom, revealing all of these fun little details and getting to showcase Monster Hunter Wilds in motion. It's just got me so hyped to be able to play this game. I'm looking forward to the demo as well. I think that this has just been a truly remarkable experience for them. They haven't been to Gamescom in some years. It's been quite a while since Capcom has had a showing at Gamescom in Germany. So the reality is that this is pretty momentous for them, and you can tell the passion behind what they've done over the past few days. Now, day 3, I didn't think that there was going to be more for me to talk about. I mean, I really went through the last 2 broadcasts from both Wednesday and Thursday of this week, and sure enough, there was more little tidbits and more things to see in the third live stream that we're going to digest today. I'm really excited to touch on these things with you, but if you haven't already done so, I would love to have your subscription, a like on the video, and a comment below. You know, the usual YouTube things that I'm sure you're used to hearing every YouTuber say to oblivion, but the reality is that this is something that's really near and dear to my heart. I've really enjoyed getting integrated into the Monster Hunter community. It's not just about engagement for me. The reality is that I feel plugged in and connected with a community that I'm passionate about and has shown me their passion in like turn. So I would love to be able to hear from you. Please feel free to share your thoughts with me, and let's get started. So they started off in typical fashion. They have the splash screen. They do a little bit of brief introduction here. But the first thing that they touched on, once Jono got on stage here, he actually touches on a deep, engrossing story. And now the stories for the Monster Hunter games I felt were passable. I mean, they were interesting enough that you would want to go through the main story quest and I think learn more about the monsters or more about the environments. I think that is neat. However, he touches on not once, but actually twice in this segment that there's going to be a deep and engrossing narrative alongside the combat and gameplay elements that we know from what we would consider the Monster Hunter gameplay loop. I think that that's great. I'm not entirely certain how ambitious that they went with it, but it certainly seems that their ambitions are on full display throughout the duration of Gamescom, throughout the entirety of the demo. I mean, look at the crowd that they've drawn. There is very clearly a passionate and devoted fan base who is very interested and in tune with what Capcom is doing and what they're going to be revealing. Now, as we fast forward, they did a lot of talking. They even gave away, it looked like, some little figurines, which I was a little bit jealous of. It looked like they had like 12 of them that they just kind of tossed out to the crowd there. I wish I could have gone, but I digress. Now, when we're talking about the fights out on the field, we had seen in the multiplayer demo yesterday that, hey, you know, there are pop-up camps. You can send pop-up camps at different predetermined areas, and you can just build them there. And they have different levels of danger associated to them relative to their proximity to any sort of dangerous animal that may be in the vicinity. So one of them that I believe Yuya Tokuda had built yesterday had a high danger rating, and then another one that he built later on in the video had a low danger rating, just because the relative danger to that getting attacked by a monster, it just varies. It varies based upon the monster activity. Rozo decides, hey everybody, let's come up here. And sure enough, there's the Doshiguma, leads the Doshiguma straight up to the pop-up camp. Now, I think that his fellow compatriots here were duly perplexed, but there's reason for it. He wanted to demonstrate. He was going into that pop-up tent, and suddenly the Doshiguma just absolutely destroyed it. These things are fragile. I didn't realize to what degree they could be vulnerable, but it seems that you wouldn't be actually defending these pop-up camps by any stretch if they, you know, came into danger. If the Doshiguma just decides to look at it funny, that thing's going to fall apart. So apparently the Palico that happens to manage a given pop-up camp can help you either restore or repair it. I assume that if you no longer have use for it, you can also tear it down and then build another in a different area. They didn't get too deep into that in this video. I'm excited to explore more of it. Now, one of my favorite things from Monster Hunter World was the fact that, hey, you know, at the end of it, you got all of your items, you got all of your rewards, right? You got your money, you got your experience. That has been deeply integrated into just a nice little modal that splashes up on the screen. It doesn't have to be obtrusive by any stretch. I mean, your gameplay is meant to be seamless, and then you now have Hunter highlights that do the same. So Hunter highlights are back. I thought that was a neat little mention. Granted, I'm not going to be able to get Clever Clutcher anymore. And it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do flinch shots either. I loved that aspect of the Clutch Claw, but hey, I think that the Slinger Hook is a really good next step for that. I think that they've gotten over the Clutch Claw mechanic. They've really integrated some of those unique functions of the Clutch Claw more seamlessly. And again, I think seamless has just been the moniker of a lot of the gameplay that they are trying to showcase here. A lot of the gameplay elements just blend in seamlessly one with another, so that way there isn't as much of a breakup due to menus or due to loading screens. It's all very fluid and dynamic. And roughly right about here, Jono is asking a question that was from the community, like where do they gain their inspiration from for the monsters? Do they talk to like real life biologists? Like how do they source their models or the way that they want to portray the monsters? And so Kaname Fujioka kind of talks about how they don't seek out any scientists or biologists necessarily, but they do take from real life examples. And I had done a video about where I think they took a lot of that inspiration from. I'll put the card up in the top corner here. But he talks about how he wants to be true to life, and he does a lot to take examples from real life nature and uses that to inform the way that he crafts the monsters. I had done so many videos talking about the authenticity and the trueness to life, how the environment and the ecology in Monster Hunter World was really a flexing point for them. That was something that they were very proud of. I mean, you could feel the gait, the steps of the monster, they're impactful, or the swings and the swipes. The animation was there, the velocity was there, the way that the monsters behaved. They wanted to make it as close to life or true to life as possible. And I had used the notion of the uncanny valley, where if you make a misstep, I mean, it's very difficult to portray in game something that is true and authentic to life. If you make a misstep, you might find yourself in the uncanny valley where it looks janky and weird. Truly, the inspiration from real life nature is all over Monster Hunter Wilds. As a side note here, Jono starts talking about, for those of us who happen to have a Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Iceborne save file, and I think that the majority of the folks who are watching this video probably do, there will be save bonuses. Your save data will give you bonuses for your Palicos in Wilds. It was in the State of Play trailer where they gave us a little bit more details there, but just wanted to call out and call attention that, hey, listen, if you've got that save data, awesome, you're gonna get some little goodies. And this is actually the part that I was talking about earlier, where they had a bunch of figures that they were giving away. Look at this, he just comes out with a whole stack of them. He's got them all in his hands, and the three of them take turns tossing it out to the crowd. Look at them, I'm jealous. Now, further along in the video here, we get to see how we can create quests or generate quests from monsters out on the field here. So this is after the multiplayer segment where Yuya Tokuda is doing a single player segment to finish out the remainder of the stream. He pulls open the environment overview is what it's called. You can see that over here on the right hand side. So I'm gonna pause it here, but you can see the monsters that are in the area and the different type of thing. It almost reminds me, it reminds me of Investigations, where you have your stars associated to it and the type of rewards that you can get. They did say that, hey, look, because this is the show floor demo, you can't create quests right now out of the Chatakabra or the Balahara, But what this does seem to suggest to me is a contrast, a pretty deep contrast at that, to the way that the multiplayer mechanic worked in Monster Hunter World. So for those who didn't play World or are less familiar, one of the biggest pain points was you would pick a quest from the quest board or from the handler, and then that would become available for other people to play or other people to grab. The problem with that is that there are a lot of limitations, especially if it was an MSQ one. So if you had somebody who is brand new to the game, venturing out for the first time, they've just picked up Monster Hunter World and they're starting their MSQ from the very beginning. Okay, cool. You want to be there to help them, right? You want to show them the ropes. You want to go through the MSQ with them, get them on rails, go do some hunting with some new friends who have just found their own love for the Monster Hunter series. But the problem is they've got to see a cutscene first. You're not able to even embark on the quest. You can't accept the quest because they haven't seen that cutscene. And then after they've seen that cutscene, they're already in the fight. So then you can join the fight and you're already behind tempo with them. This suggests to me that any of the quests that are available out on the map from the active monsters, sure, there are going to be MSQ ones that probably will be handled separately, but any of the general quests from active monsters, you might be able to just pick up the quest, and then anybody who wants to help you with that quest, they can pick up that same quest if they want. They don't have to pick up that same quest, they can just engage in combat. You should still be able to play one with another without being restricted by whether or not somebody else has access to that quest. And we saw what the cutscenes look like over the last couple of days when you were coming up on the Alpha Doshiguma. It was a real quick pan and cut in, and then, okay, you've seen the cutscene. None of the other players needed to see that cutscene before that quest was available to them. I'm assuming that that's not just because it's a little trait of the demo. I think that that's actually how it's going to be in the production game when we get to see it. That for me streamlines the biggest pain point that I had with multiplayer in Monster Hunter World and the limitations that we had there. If I want to spend my entire playthrough with other hunters, I believe that we can. Furthermore, what we can see here is as he's got his cursor over the Chotacabra here, you can see what his strength is, a little bit of information. I like the flavor text. That's nice. But you also see here what the timer is. This is the amount of time you have left for this monster before they leave the locale. Now we get the little pop-up message that says, hey, such and such monster will leave the locale soon. And okay, fair enough. I mean, that's nice to let us know that we're running out of time. This will tell us exactly how much time we have. And with the amount of time that we're probably going to be spending traveling from one location to the next, I mean, we can only have, at least according to this demo, a total of 3 different pop-up camps. So it's not like we can just fast travel anywhere. We will still have to travel quite a bit on foot. If there's only 2 minutes left on a monster that you want to go fight, well, never mind, don't waste your time. That monster's going to be gone by the time that you physically get there. But because there are also multiple instances, as you can see here, 2 Balaharas or 3 Doshigumas, technically 1 Alpha Doshiguma and 2 Herdlings, but the point being is that if you wanted to, you could just go pick the other one. Go pick the other one so that way you can fight the monster and not have to worry about the timer running out before you can get the kill, before you can get any meaningful items from it. They also touched on how herd monsters, so the Doshiguma in this case, will also drop items as well. So if you're looking to fill out the Doshiguma set, for example, then yeah, okay, cool. Then you can also take out the herd by physically fighting the herd instead of using, say, a dung pod. The quest may say that you have to kill the Alpha Doshiguma, sure, so that's going to be your target, but there's nothing about that quest that says you can't also take out the rest of the herd along with it and then really rake in and accelerate the grind for getting the mats that you need for your upgrades or the armor that you wish to craft. Now here, Tokuda is on the back of the Galahara. What he comments on, however, is that because it's long and serpentine, there are more areas to draw out wounds from it. Jono asks for clarification here. Does that mean then that the longer that you're on a monster, the more potential that you have for breaking open wounds on a monster or making these vulnerable points? And yes, that is exactly correct. There is some advantage so long as you have the stamina to stay up there. And as you can see in the top left here, he's actually water blighted, so his stamina is dropping a little bit faster than normal. And even then, he was able to get, I think it was 3 different wounds open on the Galahara before he did the takedown, or before he got thrown off of the back of the monster. Now, yesterday I called attention to the health bar and how it's more dynamic. It looks like that there was, it was an indicator up here when you took a large amount of damage, and you just saw it happen. They clarified here that that's actually not from when you take a lot of damage, but when a strong attack is going to come in that's going to sweep you off your feet or deal a significant amount of damage. It doesn't indicate, if it's lethal or not. That isn't the intended purpose, but rather that it's a forewarning that you should be careful. There is a strong monster attack coming, and it's grabbing your attention to look out. And even the Palico actually, starts talking to give you that warning that, hey, the next attack that's going to follow is gonna leave you battered and bruised if you don't get out in time. This next piece, however, was such a tease, absolutely a tease. And in fact, the live stream chat went absolutely wild over this. Okay, so he's under the caverns, it's underneath the Windward Plains, and look what happens. I mean, he's wading through water. That's kind of nice. We saw, other areas where there was the riverbed earlier. That's nothing novel. And then here. In Monster Hunter World, when you dove in, it was just completely, you dove under a little bit of water and then you popped right back up. There wasn't anything that you can do. This is full range of motion. You can swim under the water and have full control of your hunter, which the chat exploded, absolutely exploded. And for me, I was like, oh, please. Oh, you teasing. And I think you know where I'm going with this. We want an underwater combat. Tokuda immediately said, nope, sorry, folks, no underwater combat. But this is actually really pretty, and it's really cool because you can get some particular resources that are strictly underwater, and you have the ability like this to be able to get materials and resources from underwater areas. So it looks like aquatic environments are at least incorporated, but as far as combat or facing down a monster or monsters that you would only face in aquatic combat, that is not the case. I think, however, that the community made their desires known. He acknowledges just how much that the community wanted underwater combat, remarking that, clearly y'all really want this thing. So if we continue to make noise, if we continue to champion the cause for those of us who are fellow believers of the underwater combat, I think that may really be feasible. I think that may be something that we can realistically hope for in the DLC. Now, right around here, Tokuda starts talking about support hunters, and he doesn't really go into a whole lot of depth with it, but he does acknowledge that when you have the full game, it isn't showable here in the demo version, but when you have the full game, you can talk to Alma and you can change out or reconfigure how you want your support hunters to work. Apparently, you can exchange them for palicos if you want. So if you wanted to have 2 hunters and 2 palicos, you could do that instead of just, say, 3 hunters. However you want to work your support team, I think is the point that he was trying to drive home, that you'll have more customization than just random NPCs that happen to be called when you have the SOS go out. And for those of us paying attention, this area is quite notable. It was most prominent, I would say, in the Summer Game Fest trailer that we got. I did a reaction video on that. I'll put the card up here on the screen for you to go watch. But I noted that there was some electrical activity in a rather prominent helical rock face on the horizon. Sure enough, this has been confirmed to be the Raydao Den, and this is where Raydao will keep its nest, and you certainly can see a lot of electrical activity here from all of the crystalline static on the ground. Apparently that also interacts with Ray Dao's attacks and acts as a conduit to magnify Ray Dao's attacks. So the dynamics of the hunt can change based upon your environment, based upon where the monster is located, what kind of monster that you're fighting. There's so many aspects of it that can shift and change, but you can also face a monster on their home turf and really, really ramp up that difficulty if you want to. You're in more danger when you're on their home turf. I honestly thought that was such a nice little touch. It's in Area 17, and I was curious from all of the times that we've seen in the trailers, how many times they've had that helical rock face on the horizon, a very prominent fixture visually. If we would actually be able to go there, and sure enough, Tokuda-san took us here just to show off what it looked like if you actually traveled to the helical rock face in the distance. When we compare that to the very first trailer that we received, it really goes to show that anywhere that you see on the map, you can travel to, which to me really brings that sort of Breath of the Wild experience, where if there's somewhere that looks interesting, you can go there, you can explore there, you can see what monsters are there, you can see what sort of endemic life is there, what sort of materials to gather, and then you can craft with. There's so much of this demo that they have shared with us that has only served to whet my appetite more. Now, for the entirety of Gamescom, they've had this demo on full display for us, and regrettably, we've got no demo. In fact, we've got no release date. So I'm hoping that because they obviously have a playable demo, or at least a working demo in some capacity, that it should be within the next week or two that we'll have word on when we're going to be getting that demo, or even have a demo in hands. I'm hoping it's very, very soon, because now that I've seen it in action, I can't not want to play. Like I need this game. I need this game. I full send. Just tie me to my chair, put a controller in my hands, and let me at it. But I really want the opportunity to be able to test it on my PC, for example, or the opportunity for other people to test it themselves. Because as much as we as Monster Hunter fans and fellow community members are excited about this, this has been enough, especially after World, to get the attention of gamers at large. This is big, and Gamescom is called the largest gaming expo, the largest gaming event in the world. So this is getting Monster Hunter not just in front of the core gamer demographic now, but now in front of mass media. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. So for other people who have never gotten into Monster Hunter, we're talking sixth fleeters who are going to find their induction into the love of Monster Hunter alongside us as the sixth fleet in Wilds, then I would love for them to be able to get a taste, get to experience it, and get to play it for themselves, to really understand and relate to us with something that we love so much. But until we have that release date, or until we have a demo, it doesn't look like we're really going to be getting more, and we didn't even get an idea or an inkling as to when they're going to be dropping new information. So it's just a completely uneducated guess. I'm assuming that means Tokyo Game Show, because that's going to happen before the Game Awards. I don't know if there's anything in between, unless there's a Capcom showcase that I'm not aware of that maybe they'll drop something new. But we'll be keeping an eye out on their social media pages and on their YouTube pages and on their stream pages. I'm looking forward to our next info drop. Monster Hunter fans have eaten good this week. And so to take part in the celebration, I'm giving away a copy of Monster Hunter Wilds. The link is in the description below, so go make sure to get your entries in while you can. We're going to be announcing the winner when the game comes available for pre-order. So while we might not have that, I'm imagining that's going to still be in the near future. I will be delivering the game via Steam gift, game key, or USD amount in the base version of the game via PayPal to one lucky winner. So get those entries in while you can, and while you're here, I would love your subscription. I would love a like on the video if you're willing, if you liked the video. If you disliked the video, you know what, hey, that's cool too. But more important than that, I would love a comment so we can continue to carry on this hype and continue to talk about something that we're all mutually passionate about. On screen, you will see a playlist of all of the Monster Hunter videos that I've done so far. Specifically, I've been doing Monster Hunter Wilds back since TGA 2023. And you can go ahead and take a look at a lot of the videos that I've done there. And be sure to check out day 1 and day 2, my coverage for the developer live stream here at Gamescom. I also did a video on opening night live as well, all in that playlist right there for you, my friends. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I will see you in the comments, and until the next video, may the Sapphire Star guide your way. Take care.